Okay, I know we've been going almost 2 hours, but do want to at least give you a chance for a few questions before I turn it back over to Dale for wrap up. Any questions anybody has? If you couldn't hear the question, typically thunderstorms stabilize the atmosphere by putting that cool air. How could the atmosphere recover enough to have another outbreak later in the day? I think part of it, a couple things going on. For one thing, off the surface, by the time that next line of storms came in, we were doing some chatting and got a question from somebody about what does it look like in the Huntsville area. And I remember looking back west of Huntsville, like along the Mississippi-Alabama border, whatever, and things are starting to light up. And there's a lot of sunshine in North Alabama hitting the ground, which is going to destabilize things again. So the storms, as they went through the afternoon in North Alabama, got a lot of sun, got a lot of heating to carry them up. So, and by the time they got up into here, it had been enough time to also recover. But also, just the fact that we had such a dynamic system that it wasn't huge instability, like if you keep up with instability, like a lifted index of -10 or a CAPE of 4,000. We didn't have those kind of things, but we had enough of instability and certainly had a lot of shear. And also, if nighttime cooling a lot of times will stabilize things, and Dave Oates, our science officer, was talking about how this stuff went well into the night. Well, we've got a really strong wind field, sub-cloud layer that's going to be warm and moist enough that can still feed things. And think of it almost like a tripod, that any one of the legs falls out, you're not going to have a tornado. As long as you have enough moisture and enough instability and enough shear, then you can still have a tornado. And you know, the shear, like Dave was showing, was really, really high. So the instability wasn't incredibly high. It's not like we were setting records on all paces, but definitely a lot of shear. I think there will be, in the coming years, when more thorough research is done on this, when we were looking at the parameters that day, it was a high risk, and we had really high numbers for us for tornado. Like if you look at the Storm Prediction Center website, they have tornado parameters, severe supercell parameter, those types of things. I've seen higher numbers on both of those. So something that day, that evening, that I'm sure some research will go on to refine things maybe a little bit better, because it wasn't just on the mesoscale. I mean, it was broad scale that all this is happening. But like we were having tornado parameters like 4 to 6, maybe 7, and I've seen them out in the Midwest, 18, 20, and some huge events for them that weren't as big as this event. So. Okay. Another question? Yes. Couldn't be worse.
What is it looking right now?
Have y'all looked at much in the way of outlooks? Normal. Okay. What does that mean? Normal is usually the fall is not as active as the spring. And one thing about I should correct some things that I probably said the first couple of days after that. This is the, you know, we had the event in 1974, which was our parents' event or something, depending on your generation, your age right now. And this is kind of the event for our generation. I shouldn't really say that. I mean, just like we have for flooding statistics. If this is an event that comes along once every 25 years, 50 years, whatever, if it's a 50-year event, then it's a 2% chance in any one year that you'll have it. It's not, that's it for this 25 years. It's, you know, it's a 2%, 3%, 4% chance in any year that you'll have an event on this magnitude. So it could happen again. Could happen in the fall. Probably not. But so we can't let our guard down. But check this one off for our generation. I'm I can cruise to retirement now. Unfortunately, can't say that. So, for outlooks like that, you know, it's a severe weather event like this, or a 2-foot snowfall is going to get averaged out. For the big events, that's one climate forecasting, huge hurdle for climate forecasting is to forecast when it's getting favorable seasonally for a really active pattern. Right now they're doing temperatures and precipitation. And you average out the precipitation from a tornado event or a snowstorm event, you're going to average out a huge event depending on what happens on either side of it. So don't have much of a feel for what the severe weather offers for the fall. Anybody else? Not a real good, I don't have personally a really good feel for it. I mean, La Nina was talked about it a little bit, but that was fading at the time, wasn't a real strong signal. And I saw some real quick research on the shear in the southern atmosphere, in the southern part of the U.S. was above normal for the springtime, which is one of the ingredients. But I don't know, any of y'all got a feel for what La Nina, any contributing factors it had?
Well, it may have created...
Okay, well, it favors a storm track, but not necessarily, you know, an incredible tornado outbreak. Just like in the wintertime, when you have a more favorable pattern, it's going to send more storms over you. So you may have an elevated threat of precipitation, but the actual intensity of an individual storm system as it comes across is not necessarily anything that a La Nina or El Nino pattern is going to just kind of whether you're going to be in the track or not of the storm systems. Does that sound right? Question is, are we satisfied with the quality and quantity? I think I'm completely satisfied with you know, what the tools are, you know, kind of state of the art right now, that we found most of what was out there. Now, one thing that we did, we went actively seeking on our website. The one that had all the black lines on there was people poring over this information. We showed that, and you could zoom in on those maps and see that if you had a mesocyclone come across your area and you had damage, and we don't have a documented tornado to contact us, and we'll come look at it. We found, I'd say, probably at least 15 tornadoes just from that polling the public alone. And I know TV media getting the word out as well. We found out one or another through the media about some others to survey. So I think we put over 7,000 miles on vehicles surveying, which is a lot of crisscrossing, a lot of doubling back. Generally, I don't think we stayed overnight at any point because we were coming back to download the data, going back out the next morning. So a lot of travel involved. That's just our 40 counties or so. Then the Huntsville office, Birmingham office, Atlanta office, etc., doing the same things for, I think it was the first 15 days we were out every day. And then we kind of sat back and let some more data trickle in. And then about once or twice a week for the next about 6 weeks, we go out to another area and clip off 3 or 4 more. So we knew the magnitude of this event. We always give it a good effort, but we weren't going to get oversaturated with this and just say, okay, this is enough. We got all the strong ones. This is enough. No, this is one for the ages, and we're going to do it right, even if it takes us a while. We'll just pace ourselves on some of the lower end tornadoes. They're working tirelessly. I know initial reports of some of the fatalities we had came through amateur radio.
Sure did.
And and I don't know how many hours you and Ed were there. Do you know?
Well, I was there from probably about 7 till sometime the next morning.
So almost essentially 24 hours or more?
I was there 16 or 18 at least.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, just our net controller is this is Eddie Pike and Ed Bradley, two of the guys that always show up, thank goodness. And I don't know exactly how they do it, but they can, I've got an amateur radio license, I don't know how they do it. But they can find people everywhere. And I'm pretty sure the Camp Creek, first reports from Camp Creek came via amateur radio, so...
Through the Greenville repeater.
Yeah. And some places can't hit directly, but they can still find a way. So it's always, every event is always key. Amateur radio, commercial radio, TV, it's all pieces of the puzzle that have to be together. And one thing that we did, I guess about a month after the event, we had a gathering for the media at the Team East EOC, and one thing we were wondering was we knew that state EMA was going to be there, but hardly any local EMA was there, and it wasn't because they weren't interested, or it wasn't because they didn't want to be a part of it, it's because they were too dang busy. We finally came up for air and had this media briefing, but the local EMAs were still supporting the local people and trying to patch things up, trying to get people back into shelter. So I still haven't heard too much from them. I know they're still probably really busy. I'm sure the mountains played a role as another avenue for research. The mountains that big are going to have some effect. And we know that when you have a strong south wind coming off the mountains in the winter half of the year, you get a lot of downsloping strong winds, and that could be what maybe fed some of the storms in Greene County. How it wasn't quite as strong, Sevier County, but things seemed to blow up again in Greene County. I don't know. I don't have a complete explanation for it, but yeah, you can see how things are more west of the Appalachians than east of the Appalachians, and I'm sure it had an effect. So I don't know exactly how much, but the shearing. One thing that how I think people that didn't have a really good or thought that storms weren't as common, tornadoes weren't as common in East Tennessee, and they aren't as common as Middle and West Tennessee, but it's not all that common for us to be able to get a wind structure with the terrain like it is favorable for tornadoes. But for a super outbreak, it seems like we're under the gun, 74 and 2011 for the huge events we are. That's theirs. It in theory should be much like storm prediction centers. I don't know the radius of the Toricon, but I think Storm Prediction Centers is 25 miles, I think, from a point. I think the Toricon is like, is it 50 to 100 miles? Okay. So it's kind of in line with that. I haven't seen any verification on any of it. If you watch the Toricon forecast and you watch the slight, medium, high forecast, and even look at if you look on Storm Prediction Center and look at and click over on the tornado threat, I think they probably peg it about 45%, 35, 45%, something like that. So you're not going to see an 80 or 100%, basically because of their radius they use is smaller. But in theory, should be similar to each other. Okay, about time to wrap it up, I guess. One last question, anybody? All righty, very good. All right, thanks very much for your time and everything. I'll let Dale, AMS me, I'll let Dale close things out.